You've kind of just met Isaac and myself. My name is Daniel Leva. I'm the academic advisor for all students in the BA A through K, as well as all BFA students, which in fact all three students are assigned to me, so you'll all be working with me, so we're excited. Isaac will address anyone with students alpha letters L through Z in the BA program, as well as an interdisciplinary program known as VPAS, or Visual and Performing Arts. Now, your advisement does begin today, so any of the information that we provide you today, feel free to reference it at any point in time, ask us about it. But now that you're part of the Trojan family, it's important that we give you the information that you need, put that in your back pocket, so that you can move forward and kind of gather the pieces that you'll need to complete your degree here. Our home away from home is in the DRC, which is listed there at the bottom. That is where our office is. It's our main hub. But more importantly, that's where your advisements will occur. So that's where we're located. In fact, the first couple of weeks we're available throughout the day. So if you ever want to stop in, feel free to stop in. So we've got three different acts. The first will be the university as a whole. We'll talk about just overall requirements, general education, which I also they're also known as, or I call them GEs, just for the sake of brevity. Then we have Act 2, Dramatic Arts, and the specific programs that you'll be involved with. And then academic advising and registration. Now, that registration, as I said before, will not occur until August 15th. That is the date that you are all cleared to register. It's considered your permit to register date. So keep that in mind. And in fact, when you log into your web reg, it'll tell you exactly what time. I believe it's going to be 9 o'clock, but I'm not certain. 9 a.m. On the 15th. Now we'll go with the start with the act one, which is the university. Now these are just some of the pieces that we'll touch on, you know, again, we'll wrap up with different sources and resources for you to utilize while you're here. But we just want to give you a kind of a broad idea as to what to expect in terms of completing your degree here. So what do you need to graduate? Now here at USC, you need to complete a total of 128 units during your 4-year span. Okay. Now on average, that's 16 units per semester. Now you can certainly enroll into more than that. In fact, in your first semester, any BFA actors will actually enroll into full 18. But in most cases, students will average out about 16 units per semester. You're welcome to enroll into up to 18 without any sort of issues, extra clearance, or advising needs. Now, the system will allow you to enroll into up to 20 units freely of any sort of advisor, but we don't recommend that because anything beyond 18 will be billed to you separately, okay? So keep that in mind. In thinking this first semester, it's really important to kind of keep your unit range from a 16 to 18, no more than 18. You have to remember it's a transitional semester, so you're going to be coming here and you're going to be experiencing a lot of things here at USC, and so we want to kind of keep that manageable. Of those 32 units, okay, not in addition, but of those 32 units, of those 128 units, pardon me, of those 128 units, 32 units are upper division. They're not in addition to that, and the nice thing is that they're actually built into your programs. So you don't have to go out and look for those 32 units of upper division coursework. They're already embedded in your programs. Okay. Now, just FYI, any course from 300 through 499 is considered upper division. Brittany, welcome.
Hi.
You've caught us just as we're in already for a little bit. We can come back and ask some questions towards the beginning if you have any questions about you haven't missed much, so don't worry. So save your questions. I'll ask you to mute your mic if you can hear me okay, and we'll move on. And then you can come back and ask us questions. Sound good? Okay. Cool. Thank you. So again, upper division is any course across campus that is 300 through 499. So just keep that in mind, any course across campus in any department. Now, pass no pass, every student has the pass no pass option. You're offered 24 units of pass no pass. Simply stated, it's just a way to change your letter grade option from the traditional A through F to pass no pass. You can certainly use that option if you'd like. Keep in mind you have some limitations. You can't use it for all of your general education courses. You're only allowed to use it for one of your GE core literacies. If you have a language requirement, like most BAs do, you can certainly use it for one or all of those levels. Again, it's a BA item only, so our BFA students are not required to do the language requirement. But if you do switch it from the letter grade to the pass no pass, you want to make sure that you do earn a C- or better in that class. Earning a C- or better simply gets you a passing grade. Anytime you use the pass no pass option, it's a neutral grade. It does not affect your GPA positively nor negatively, but at least if you're in the passing grade, you check that box off and you move on. Okay. So some of the limitations, though, as I said before, you cannot use the pass no pass option for writing requirements, including writing 150 or writing 340. Those have to be done for the letter grade. And all major and minor courses must be done with the letter grade traditional A through F. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you want any recommendations on what you might want to use the pass no pass option with, talk to your advisor. Okay. Last bit, GPA 2.0. We don't want to get below that. The goal is to just earn 2.0 or better. If there's ever a time you dip, obviously we meet with you as advisors every semester, so we monitor that. But if at any point in time you feel you're struggling, let us know, and we'll try to work it out and figure out how to connect you with some resources. Now, here are your core literacies. I also identify them as GEs, or general education courses. So, remember them, memorize them. I mean, it's a process. So again, just, over time, you'll get to know them. And every time we meet with you, we'll go over them as well. So it's not anything that you have to necessarily, carry in your back pocket. But it's good to review every once in a while. Now, you do have access to these in your STARS report. So if you have already gone into WebReg and you've kind of perused that and you checked it out, it's good to know. These will be found in your STARS report. Now, in total, you have a total of 8 core literacies. The first 6 are A through F. Okay. Notice you only have 1 of each of those, but you do have 2 of letter B and 2 of letter C. In addition to that, you have global perspectives, which is GEG and GEH. Okay. Now let's start with the core literacies A through F. Again, only 1 of those each except for B and C. Now, let's go back to A. You remember, A is not something that you have to worry about because you will be completing GEA with a course that each of you is required to complete within your program. So GEA is not something you have to visit at any point in time. In the spring, you will fulfill this with Theater 225. So really, you only have to think about B through F. Now, in addition to that, some of you may have brought in some APs. Some of those AP examined scores of 4 or 5 would satisfy specific GEs. So you may not have, the D to do because you did a life science AP, or you may not have a quantitative reasoning. So it just depends on your APs. So that's the one way to eliminate them. Keep in mind, if you come in with 0 APs, don't worry. It's okay. Global perspectives. Now, these are 2 other GEs. Keep in mind, you'll notice there it says marked with a W under the GEG. And under GEH, Traditions and Historical Foundations, it says marked with a P. When you're looking at the courses, you'll notice that some of these courses have letters attached to them. So the course might say, Political Science 265 GP, for example. Depending on what category that's under, for example, if it's under category C in your schedule of classes, if that course number has that little P under, or the W, that's a little marker, it tells you that that particular course under that particular list of the requirement, for example, C, that's also going to double dip. So that marker tells me because it has a little P, it's going to satisfy H, and it's listed under C. So that's just kind of a way to see the double dipping process, which is why you'll see in the global perspective, where it says global perspectives, it says 0 to 8 units. You don't have to do 8 units of this independent of the other GEs. Okay, you can join them. We call them double dipping. So we're always going to encourage you to double dip. especially for our BFAs and especially BFA actors and actresses. We want to make sure that you double dip your GEs with the core literacies. Now, just as a side note, you're going to find GEG most commonly with GEC. So you're going to find that CG combo most often. And then B with H. So you're going to find that B and H combo most often. Now, moving on. You also have a GE seminar that's required in your first semester. So this first semester, when we reach out to you in a short while, we're going to reach out to you with a schedule. That schedule will have your 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, your core theater classes. And in addition to that, it'll have a GSEM, which is what you see on your screen. In addition to that, either another GE or a foreign language requirement. Okay. So you'll have at least 4 classes roughly. Now, the GSEM is also connected to one of your GE core literacies. This is another way that we double dip. So the university requires a GE seminar, freshman seminar, but fortunately, those seminars are also connected to a letter. You can see on the left-hand side where it says core literacies. If you do a GSEM, for example, GSEM 140 or 141, that will satisfy your GED. If you recall from the previous screen, you only need to do one GED. Therefore, if I do GSEM 140 or 141, I satisfy my GED. I have essentially satisfied my seminar requirement and my GED requirement with one class. Make sense? Again, you only need to do one GE seminar in your entire time here. And I guess one quiz is, would any one of you complete a GSEM 110 or 111? The answer would be no, because again, that is attached to GEA. GEA is something that will be satisfied with a theater core requirement in your spring semester. Okay? So feel free to avoid 110 and 111. Isaac? Thanks, sir. Okay, so this is for our BAs and BAs only, so our BFA students can tune out for just a sec. So Brittany and Aiden, take a look. You must complete this by the end of your sophomore year. A sophomore year is 64 units or more, so at the end of your second year. There is, as I said before, there's a foreign language requirement for all of our BA students. You can complete it in a few ways. The first would be to complete levels 1 through 3 in that one language. Pick a language, any language. You would do that level 1 through 3. So it would be fall level 1, spring level 2. Level 3 you could either do back home, or you could do it in the summer, or wait till next year in your sophomore year. Okay, that's one way to do it. That would be a total of 12 units, 4 units per semester. Or you can also satisfy this by testing into a higher level. Perhaps you speak another language at home, or you have a history in a language, but you didn't take an AP. That's fine. Go ahead. You can take the placement exam once you arrive. In fact, during welcome week of next week, there will be several opportunities to take the placement exam. Take a placement exam in that language. You place into level 2 or 3, then you move from there. So if you place into level 2, all you've got to do is take level 2 in the fall, level 3 in the spring, and you're done. Finally, the other way to satisfy this would be to earn a score of 4 or 5 in any one of the language, lit, or culture exams, AP exams for either Spanish or French or any one of those. So if you've done that and you've earned the score of 4 or 5, if we already have that or are getting that, that's how you would satisfy that. Okay. Now, as I said before, you each have writing requirements. These are writing requirements that must be taken with a letter grade. The first one, Writing 150, you will not see until the spring of your freshman year. So in this first semester, you'll see the GE seminar. That's going to be replaced in the spring with your Writing 150. Writing 340 is not something that you'll see for a few more semesters. In fact, maybe a couple of years. Typically done in the second semester of your junior year or maybe the first semester of your senior year. But again, it's kind of up to you. If you want to take it a little sooner, you're welcome to. But these are 2 required writing classes that you must complete here at USC. Keep in mind, once you start at USC, you cannot transfer GEs to USC. So Next summer, you can't go back home and say, oh, I'm going to take my GEF, quantitative reasoning, or something else back home. That's not allowed. You've got to complete all your GEs here, and as well as all of your theater requirements, especially in the BFA world. Items you can transfer in are listed there under the transfer policy. The most common one for BAs would be the foreign language. So it's often that a student might take, as I said before, a foreign language level back home and transfer that back to USC. Keep in mind, if you take anything below a level 3, so for example, if I took level 1 of Spanish here and I decided to take level 2 back home, anything from level 2 or below, I would have to do, I would have to come back after taking that summer course, and I would have to take another placement exam in order to get to level 3. So again, anything below level 3. If I take a level 3 at home in the summer, I'm done. If I pass that class, if that course is transferred to USC, I'm officially done. But anything lower than that, you'd still have to complete that semester abroad or back home, and you would still have to complete a placement exam once you return to USC in order to get into that 3rd level. Well, moving on to the dramatic arts. So here are your 2 programs. At the top, you'll see the BA Dramatic Arts, which is 54 units strong, and at the bottom, you'll see our BFA Dramatic Arts degrees. Again, they vary from program to program. Okay, so just to give you a quick glimpse. Now, for our BAs, I'm going to show you the emphasis programs. Now, no one is currently automatically assigned to the emphasis programs. Students in the BAs can opt to switch into the BA acting emphasis or design emphasis. Keep in mind, you'll see the unit values. BAs, there is BA acting emphasis does have an increase of 13 units. I think sometimes that becomes a bit of an issue because oftentimes BA students want to potentially add a semester abroad or double major or potentially add a minor or 2. So depending on what, Aiden and Brittany, this is more for you, depending on what you're targeting while you're here, especially if you're considering a minor or a semester abroad, it's a conversation to have with your advisor so that if you're thinking about switching into the emphasis, you also keep in mind how many units that other program or programs are so that you don't push yourself beyond 4 years here at USC. Now, if you know you want to stay longer and you want to complete as much as possible, that is entirely up to you and your family, but we really target a 4-year completion for your degree. So just keep the emphasis in mind. It's just some background on the emphasis programs. And if you go online and you review them and you look at them and you're really serious about it, let us know. We can get you that application right away. I hope you all were paying attention. Just a quick trivia question. So your mics are all muted, so you may not answer this, but just keep this in mind. What special GE course must freshmen complete in their first semester? And if you're all saying to yourself, your GESM, that is correct. Make sure you target GSEMs 120 or higher. Again, why 120 or higher? Because 110 and 111 are connected to GEA. GEA is something you're going to complete in the spring of your freshman year. So you can avoid the GSEM 110 and 111. All right, bonus trivia. So GE category blank is fulfilled with what theater course? If you're all saying to yourself, GEA is satisfied with Theater 225, you've got it. All right, so I've given you your major requirements for programs, GEs, etc. How do I access all of this information? Well, you're going to go to Oasis. Now, if you haven't already logged into My USC, I'd encourage you to do that sometime today and over the next few days so you can start building a schedule and get familiar with My USC. In your My USC, you have Oasis, which is your online academic student information system. Here you'll find a few items, all of these items actually that are listed here. I've mentioned the STARS report, so I'll target that a bit. The STARS report is basically your student academic record. Okay, shows you what you're currently enrolled in, units that you transferred to the university, your programs, for example, your GE requirements, also your theater programs. If you ever add a different program, let's say you add a minor, that'll also be listed in there. That is a tool for you as well as for your advisor as we prepare for your advising appointment to just check in and say, okay, here's what I see you enrolled in. Here's what you should consider for the following semester. Now, for BFAs, your program is a lot more structured. So, you know, it's one of those things where you have a menu that we provide you. It's almost like we assign you, here's your classes. Now you build it around that in terms of your GEs and your writing classes. With BAs, you may have a little more flexibility depending on the program that you're following, especially with an emphasis, but we will still work with you and we'll identify where you have some holes to fill with potentially a minor or a second major. A couple other items I'd like to touch on are your permit to register date. Keep in mind, as I mentioned before, your permit to register date for this fall is going to be the 15th of August, right? So on that day, you'll build your schedule prior to that. You'll just make sure you log in on the 15th and you will register. Now keep in mind, the permit to register date is assigned to you based on the number of units you have completed. Now, most of you might probably haven't completed many. Some of you may have 10, 12 units or 8 units, and that's fine. Maybe some of you have 0. But it's all based on the number of units you have completed. Moving forward, keep in mind that the university will assign you that date. The more units you've accrued, the sooner your date will be. It'll always be roughly around the same time as your classmates, but it's important to note when that is. The reason I mention it is because prior to that, and I want to say weeks, sometimes a month prior to that, we as advisors, we reach out to all of our students. In your case, all of our first-year students will say, hey, advisement appointments are available. Please schedule one with your advisor. That's really important because that's where at your point, you schedule an appointment with your advisor. You meet with them for a full-length appointment in our offices, and we will go ahead and we'll discuss your transition, how things are going, what to plan for the following semester. In this fall, we'll actually be talking not just about the spring semester, but we'll also be talking about the 4-year plan. Another reason that's important too is because unless you complete that session, when your permit to register date comes, you will not be able to register unless that session has been completed, that advisement session. So be sure to schedule it, complete it, so that way we as advisors can clear your hold, and on your permit to register date, you can simply submit your classes and you'll enroll without any sort of hiccups. Guest access. It's my last bit. Now, it's important to consider who you might give access to in terms of your records and who can look into those pieces. At times, parents, family members, cousins, grandmas, grandparents, they'll call and say, hey, Daniel or Isaac, we noticed that, one of our student didn't do so well in this class, and that's odd because our student usually does really well. Unless that person has guest access, we can't have that conversation with them on the phone or in person for that matter, okay? So keep in mind who might be interested in having access and who you would like to assign access to. And the next slide will show you that piece. In fact, we'll send you a copy of this so just so you have the links as well. But you can certainly provide access to an individual or individuals that you choose, okay? You'll see some of the topics there that we have under the second bullet point that we'll discuss with them: grades, transfer credits, anything that has to do with you academically with respects to maybe your STARS reports. We'll be happy to have those conversations to a degree. But I'd like you to know that Isaac and I both have, our offices are basically our place where we have conversations about a lot of different things. And so as long as it's about this, we can have those conversations. But other things pop up in our spaces. We like to have, we like to feel like this is a safe space for students. So when it's the topics that have to do with other things that maybe aren't necessarily, parent friendly, we don't necessarily have to discuss those things. Just FYI, because we do value confidentiality when it comes to our students. Okay, so just putting that out there. So tuition refund. Tuition refund is basically a way for you to basically ensure your investment into your academics. You have until the 3rd week to opt in or out of this. You'll notice when you log into WebReg, it will ask you to in order to move on with registration, it will ask you to decide whether you want to opt in or out. Have another conversation with your family, figure out whether or not you want to keep the insurance or not. This will protect you up until really throughout the semester, whether it be week 1, week 5, week 15. If you have an injury or a documented illness that forces you to leave the campus, this is a way to submit a claim for you to basically get up to 100% of your tuition back. So definitely a conversation to have with your family. And like I said, you can opt in or out of this. Do that by the third week. If you don't decide anything on that third Friday, the system will automatically assign it to you. Just by ignoring it doesn't mean you're not going to be part of it. So make a decision if you can, especially with your family, by the end of the third week. APIB and transfer coursework. This is really important. If you have not already submitted your College Board scores or any other scores, IB included, make sure you submit those to USC. They do ask you to complete this by the end of the first semester, so that's really, really important. If you've already done that, great. When you meet with your advisor for that first full-length advisement, we'll go over the pieces that we do have in terms of APs. If something's missing, you can address that right away. Again, it'll be before the semester ends, so that'll be nice. Again, you're gonna earn 4 units or credits for every AP score of 4 or 5. It's important to send them in, even if it doesn't specifically satisfy a general ed requirement. Next slide will show a bit of that. So again, a score of 4 or 5 is going to earn you units. So again, even if it's not something that satisfies a GE, I would still get the scores in. Now, any IB students, again, it has to just be a higher level exam, score of 5 or higher. You would earn 6 elective units, or if you've earned the diploma, that would also earn you 20 units. So it just depends on what program you may have done internationally. Help. So where do you get help? Okay. Now, we like to think that we're your first responders. So this is kind of our first way of kind of meeting you, greeting you, and having an exchange with you all online. I know it's not as personal as it is in person, but it's a start. We're your only assigned advisors. So and this is our home away from home. So we like to think that as a small unit, we have direct contact with our students. So if you ever need something right away, do not hesitate in reaching out to our department. Even though Isaac and I, and actually we're bringing on a third advisor, but even though we all have our own caseloads, feel free to reach out to anyone if your advisor is not available. Okay. Here in our hub, we have the dean, assistant dean, vice dean, our counseling office. We also have internship coordinators. So we have people here physically able to assist you if you need anything. Now, beyond us, we also have a network of support systems, which include an academic support system. The Core Check Center is one of them. Student Union has some of these facilities already where they're located if you needed a space to study, if you needed some time management help, organizational help. There's workshops, tutoring, excuse me. All of these pieces are available to you right away if you need them, and if you know that that's going to make you more successful, and whether it be week 1 or week 6, at whatever point that you feel like you need it, I would encourage you to go get it. The Engelman Student Health Center, which is that third bubble, we also have obviously your student health center. Your fees paid for this. It is part of what is available to you, whether it be the common cold or the flu, as the flu season will approach very quickly in October, November. Maybe you need some immunizations, or you need some counseling services. It's totally fine. They can help you with that. So I would encourage you to utilize their services whenever needed. Finally, student affairs, which I kind of connect with student organizations. Student affairs really wants to develop the whole student professionally, socially. So they will have career events, job fairs, involvement fairs. Get involved if that's something that you like to do. There's cultural centers, cultural groups. There's a lot of different organizations. The university prides itself on over 850 different organizations. So if that's something you like to do, definitely get involved. Mind you, we have organizations that we're directly connected to, such as TSA, which is the Theater Student Association, primarily comprised of theater students. But there's also a cappella groups and a lot of various programs and groups that are connected directly with theater students and that involve theater students. So feel free to, improv groups is the other one I failed to mention, but get involved if that's something you want to get involved with. So another trivia question really quick. Hope you're paying attention. Who has access to your academic record? And really, it's just you and anyone you provide access to. So that's entirely up to you. That's your decision. Obviously, we do as well, but outside of us, it would be you and anyone you assign. I'm going to move on. Now it's going to be Isaac who will be sharing the second part of this, and I will mute my mic.
Does anyone have any questions so far? I know there's a lot of info in that section. No? Great. Okay.
Don't forget to
yes.
mute your mic if you have a question.
Yeah, I had a
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Lily.
Wait,
Could
Lily.
you unmute yourself again?
Oh, great.
Okay.
Sorry, I was looking at my transfer report the other day because I did do IB, and it told me what like my history credit went towards, but it didn't tell me what my English credit went towards. So who should I talk to about that, or what does that mean?
Your English credit for the AP?
IB.
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say that again?
My English credit for my IB class.
Yes.
It said that I received credit, but not for what GE.
Yes. So the English doesn't fulfill any specific GE. You'll just get elective credit for those.
Okay.
So we grant, with the IB specifically, anything higher level with a 5, 6, or 7 will get elective credit, and only certain IBs fulfill GE, but you will receive credit regardless of the exam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hey,
Okay.
Yeah, I had a question. So you said how we had to schedule an appointment the August 15th day, right?
Yeah. So Brittany, we can schedule another time this week, just you and I, where we can talk about more answer any individual questions.
Yes.
After today, the advisors will email all of the students their registration worksheet with more information on what they have to plan for. You will be registering on your own next week, but we hope to answer any questions you might have in the individual appointments.
Gotcha. So we would have to just like build our schedule first, and then the thing actually submit and
Yes.
finalize.
Yeah. So that's ideally what we want to do is we want to build your schedule now. And I'll talk a little bit more about registration in Act 3. So just so that it makes more sense.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? Great. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump to Act 2 here. So I'll talk about the SDA student portal, how to start building relationships with our faculty members, how to get involved with our SDA productions. I'll talk about 8 different initiatives created by Dean Brydell, and I will also cover our expectations of our SDA students. So this is just a screenshot of the SDA student portal. It's a website, sdastudents.usc.edu. There's a lot of information about our office. So admissions and student services, information about our program services, tips on advising and registration. Daniel mentioned signing up for advisement. There's a lot of information on here about that. For our freshman students, we do have advisement, and that starts in October. So we'll email you with instructions on how to schedule your appointment and when to come in. If you need any copies of orientation materials or forms, they're also on here. Now, one thing I like to point out, and probably the #1 reason why students use the portal, is that at USC, every department has the ability to reserve or department clear certain courses. So at USC, we call it declearance for short. Departments decide to declear certain courses for various reasons. So, for example, your theater courses that you're registering in next week, those are reserved and assigned specifically to you. So we've already cleared you for those courses because we've already processed your clearances. Now, In the future, if you would like access to one of these clearance courses, so uh, some of these are reserved for acting emphasis, some of these are reserved for major students, you have to use an online form here on the student portal. You won't have to do that for this semester, but it's just some good knowledge to have for a future semester. We also have quick links to the USC resources, the great audition memo, which I'll talk about in a second, information about scholarships, professional development, as well as course promotions, all found online here. Definitely take a look when you get a chance. As you know, a lot of our faculty members are working professionals. So, they'll come here and teach, and they'll go off, and go to their theater studio or company or show, whatever they're working on. But as you know, for every course that you take here at USC, you will receive a syllabus, which essentially is a contract between you and the instructor, essentially what you can expect from them and what they expect from you. Listed on there will be their office hours. So definitely we recommend that you use those at least twice every semester. Just, maybe the first time just introduce yourself, and a second time just to follow up on a major paper or midterm, just to make sure that you're on track. And if you have any course questions at all, if you're confused about an assignment, definitely reference your syllabus, use your instructors, use your TAs. They're definitely there to support you. A couple screenshots from our last 3 years, I think, on here. We just actually announced the great audition memo yesterday. So listed on there are all the SDA main stage shows that we are producing for that particular semester. We also announced the entire season in that same email as well. So that includes the entire show list for the entire year. Now, as freshman students, there are some audition restrictions. So first semester freshman students cannot audition for a main stage show until their second semester. We've created this policy so that our freshman students are able to adjust to life on campus, being away from home, adjusting to college, living with a roommate, before kind of jumping in with a large commitment like a main stage show. Now, you are eligible, again, to audition in the second semester. So if you are cast in a main stage show, you must register for Theater 397. This is a 2-unit upper division course that will fulfill requirements for the major. For our production students, if you plan to work on a show, you will also register for the practicum course if it's built into your schedule. Now, if you do want to get involved with the show in your first semester, you are eligible for independent student productions, or ISPs for short. These are separate from the main stage shows. ISPs are student fun, student run, student directed shows that are typically associated with a student group here at SDA. So they also have a separate ISP audition memo that will be going out shortly. Now, if you want to just watch some of our main stage shows, all of our major students are eligible for Rush tickets, but you do need a special Rush sticker, and you must put that on your USC ID. Essentially, all you have to do is show up to the ticket office, let them know that you're a major, show them your ID, and they'll put you down on the wait list for a Rush ticket. Now, we do hand out the stickers at the all-school meeting in the first week of class, or they're available in our front office. It's a great way to watch some main stage shows for free and support some of your fellow students. Here are 8 of the new SDA initiatives created by Dean Brydell. And I did want to talk a little bit about each one, just to kind of give you a heads up on what to expect. All of these kind of include different programmings and shows and courses. So we'll start with careers at SDA. The premier event is what we call Career Month in April, where we have a series of events and workshops and panels. There's basically an event every single night in April, having to do and focus on really helping our students transition from school to work. Really cool workshops there, so definitely keep an eye out for that. We also have a great internship program with our director of internships, Megan Laughlin. So you can earn upper division theater credit for an internship. So if you're interested in that, you can find more information on the SDA student portal. Spotlight in SDA is a series of talks and Q&As with friends of the school. You know, sometimes it's high-profile people that are associated with the school, and we invite them to come and talk about their experiences. Usually a conversation is moderated by a faculty member that we have here. Post-play and talkback is definitely related to each other. They occur after a main stage show, and they usually talk about themes and topics about the show. Luckily, over the last 2 years, we're able to invite other people associated with the play that we're producing, sometimes the playwrights themselves or other actors that have actually performed the play professionally. New Media at SDA is a series of new workshops and panels and courses to really integrate new media into the curriculum here at SDA. So as you kind of progress through your degree, you'll notice there's a lot more camera courses, creating media, creating content for new media, including online distribution. We have a podcast course, we have a voice acting course, so very interesting here. Salon and SDA is a seminar series for our graduating undergrads and MFA students, where we invite speakers in on a weekly basis in the spring semester. And that's really more focused on the transition from school to work. Podcast at SDA, Dean Bridell has actually have a monthly podcast that we produce and record on campus here. Last year's focus was really on the themes of the shows, the main stage shows, and Live Read. Live Read is a really exciting initiative where we actually bring a professional team onto campus who's trying to workshop a musical. And they cast our students. They rehearse pretty intensely for about 2 weeks, and they actually perform the show for faculty members and other industry professionals that they're trying to sell the show to. Finally, our expectations of our students. We do expect all of our students to play an active role in your education. It's very important for our students to uphold the academic integrity in the USC Code of Conduct here. There's an entire wing of student affairs that handles with judicial issues, things like plagiarism and cheating. So definitely check out that policy. And it's going to be really important for you to pay close attention to web registration, your permit to register dates, and the advisement timeline. And please, I can't stress this enough, check and manage your USC email accounts regularly. I know it's attached to Gmail, it may seem like you have tons of space, but it does fill up, and all the official communications from the school will be sent to your USC email account. And please be informed. Check the DRC bulletin boards. There's a lot of information here. Your advisors are here, and we do have an open door policy. So please stop by when you can, or flag us down at the welcome events. We definitely like to meet with you in person. And please attend as many SDA events as possible. We have a couple events in a few weeks here to welcome you back or welcome you to school. But also the initiative events that I mentioned earlier, you know, if we continue to have a good turnout, just gives us more reason to keep putting on events like this. The first two welcome events for you is going to be an ice cream social on Thursday, August 16th. That's during Welcome Week. It's a great way to meet all the other incoming freshmen and transfer students, and this will be held at the Bing Theater. And then we have the all-school meeting during the first week of class. That's Tuesday at 5. We'll be feeding you free pizza, and you can also pick up your Rush sticker there as well. As young college students, you will come to learn that free food is the best food. So come by, join us, come eat, eat some pizza and have some ice cream with us when you get here on campus. All right, last trivia question before we get to Act 3 here. well, this is kind of difficult with everyone muted, but I'll just again show the 8 initiative events here. Again, if you see these logos, you know that they're ours. And again, try and attend as many as you can. Hopefully in your first semester, you're not too busy, and you're able to catch some of these. I'm actually really excited for the first Spotlight event this semester. I can't leak anything yet, but I'm definitely a big fan, and hope you all can make it. Okay, so sorry, let's skip here. Does anyone have any questions about Act 2, about SDA? You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions.
The word upper division, and I think I came in late for that
Okay.
part, but what does upper division
upper division is anything 300 to 499. And that's considered upper division. So with the regular BA program, and we didn't talk about this, you are required to complete a minimum number of upper division credits. So if you're cast into a show, it will apply towards those requirements. So it's not, it's not like you're taking the practicum course as a funsy elective. It will actually fulfill requirements for the major.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, cool. Let's move on. Here, Act 3A, advisement and registration. Now, some of these things may make a little bit more sense once we send the advisement registration sheets to you, which will prepare you for registration next week. But we are going to talk a little bit about your first year schedule and what to expect. We'll also talk about, I'll kind of break down the worksheet and explain it to you. We have a sample worksheet here. I'll talk about a plugin called the USC Schedule Helper, which helps immensely. The course guide created by the GE department, and yeah, we won't be doing the WebReg tutorial, but maybe you can do that with your advisor. So for the BAs students, this is your typical first year schedule here. The required fall theater courses are bolded: Theater 101, Intro to Acting, the foundational acting course, and 125, Text Studies for Production. This is the foundational play analysis or text analysis course here. In addition to those 2 theater courses, all freshman students will be taking one GSEM course, so anything 120 and above. And then in addition to that, a foreign language course or a GE core literacy course. Now, with the foreign language course, it is a little tricky. For those of you with history in a foreign language course, and if you'd like to continue, you do have to take the foreign language placement exam. Now, that occurs on August 16th or 17th, and your advisor can give you more information on that. But if you want to continue, you won't be able to register until you take your placement. So your advisor may recommend that you take a replacement course in its place until you're able to register in foreign language. Now, if you're keeping up with the math here, that's only 16 units. So you do have 2 units of optional elective space. If you're thinking or considering about a minor course, you can definitely try and take a 2-unit minor course there to help you address some of those things. If you wanted to take some elective courses, like maybe something in dance or another theater elective course, you can definitely opt to do that. Definitely have a conversation with your advisor about that. Now, in the spring, you will be taking Theater 225, Theater Across History and Cultures. It's kind of the next critical studies course. This also fulfills GEA, right? And that goes for all theater students. So everyone will be taking 225. For our BA students, you also take Theater 130. This is the Intro to Theatrical Production course. This is our stagecraft course where you'll actually be crewing a main stage SDA show. And then in addition to that, for students in the acting emphasis, you will be taking Theater 152 Intro to Scene Study. It's the next level of acting. If you're not doing the acting emphasis, you can opt to take another theater elective course. Now, if you still have to complete the foreign language requirement, you can take your 2nd or 3rd level foreign language requirement here. If you're done with the foreign language requirement, let's say you test into level 3 when you take the placement exam on the 16th, and then you can take another GE Core Literacy course. Now, all freshmen will be taking Writing 150 here in the spring, and then you still have another 2 units of space for an optional elective course. Okay, so that's your typical first-year schedule for our BA students. Now, for the BA students, your Theater 101 and 125 courses are linked into what we call learning communities. So in most cases, the students in your 101 class will be most of the same students in your 125 course. So it's a great way to create study groups, team partners, and kind of create a network within the regular BA community. So we've already assigned all of our BA students to specific 101 and 125 sections. So you must plan around those specific sections. Dan, do we have any actors?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Maddie.
Now, for our BFA actors here, you will be taking a Theater 125 or Play Analysis course, and then your BFA core, so movement, acting, and voice. You will be taking at least one movement or physical acting and voice course all 8 semesters here at USC. Just like all other theater freshmen, you will be taking one GSEM course. In order for you to graduate on time, you must take a GSEM 120 or above course. Okay, you cannot take a GSEM in the arts. And then in addition to that, you'll also be taking GE Core Literacy course because you do not have the foreign language requirement. So anything B through F. In the spring, we continue with the BFA core, movement, acting, and voice. You'll be taking Theater 225, which fulfills GEA, and then Intro to Screen Acting in the spring. Just like other theater freshmen, you'll be taking Writing 150, and then you have 2 units of space for an optional elective. If you are cast into an SDA show, you can register for that, and that will take the place of the optional elective course. So that's your typical BFA acting first-year schedule. For production students, all of our year 1 production students take the same core courses regardless of production emphasis. So all of our production students are in the same section of Theater 125. All of you take 131A and 132A in the fall, and you continue with the B sections here. GSEM 120 and above, the emphasis on double dipping is not as much, but we still strongly recommend it for the BFA production students. So again, GSEM 120 and above, so avoid the arts, and then GE Core Literacy B through F. Now, in both of these semesters, you do have 2 units of optional elective space. You do not need to fill this up in order to graduate on time. You can leave these at 16 units and not register for some optional electives. In the spring, you'll be taking Theater 225 GEA, the B sections for the production courses, Writing 150 like the other freshman students, and then you continue with another GE Core Literacy course. So that's your typical first-year schedule for all BFA production students. All right. Now, each of you will be emailed shortly a pre-registration worksheet. Now, for each one of you, you will receive your own sheet, and we have already assigned you your specific theater courses. For the BA students, you'll have your listed section of 101 and 125. For the BFA students, you'll have your BFA courses. Now, all of you, what we would recommend is to identify at least 3 GSEM options that fit around your theater schedule. Now, what we've done here is we've already plugged in your required theater courses, and you have about a week or so to kind of look at the different GSEM options to see which ones you like and see which ones fit your schedule. Now, in addition to that, we do recommend, at least for now, and especially for the BFA students planning for another GE Core Literacy course, anything B through F. Okay. Now, for the BAs, you can look at a foreign language. For the BA students, if you are seeking or planning to start a new foreign language from level 1, definitely let your advisor know, and we can give you information on how to receive D clearance for that. Now, for those students who are registering for a foreign language, a GE Core Literacy course, that's a regular GE Core Literacy course. Those courses are typically your stereotypical large lecture GE courses where you meet in class sizes of 1 to 200 students, and then you also have to schedule a discussion or lab time at another time of the semester to meet in smaller groups to kind of discuss what happened in the lecture. So with those courses, don't forget a lab or discussion section for those. Okay. Now, what we would recommend, and we're gonna send this to you as well, is the USC Schedule Helper. This is a Google Chrome extension created by a recent alum to kind of help with registration. Now, what this does is it actually identifies courses that fit with your theater schedule. So once you build, once you add your required theater courses to your course bin in the web registration, it'll help you find which GE courses conflict or which courses are at capacity. So this is a really great tool to help you figure out which other courses fit with your schedule. So this is what we recommend installing on Chrome when you do get a chance. Typically, during the semester, you would be using the schedule of classes. It's classes.usc.edu. There's a lot of important features on this website. Every department and every GE course courses are listed, including their times and availability. I mentioned D clearance earlier. So if you are seeking clearance for another course, you can look up their department on the schedule of classes, and it will have their contact information. If you are trying to figure out when you can come home, right, after finals, you can actually figure out your final exam schedule online. And there's also a lot of other important UC links and information on here to use. Now, as you're researching courses on web registration, you'll notice there's not a lot in terms of descriptions of the course online. Typically, there's usually a sentence, if at all, and usually that's not enough information to kind of decide on whether you like that course. So what the GE department has done is they've actually created a course guide where they've actually reached out to all of the instructors and asked for a 1 to 2 paragraph description of their course. And they've kind of posted that online here as well, so you can also reference this. Now, all the GE courses for the current and next semester are listed, and they do offer more course descriptions, but there's literally no information about how many students are in the course, what time the course is offered, who teaches the course. So what we would recommend is use web registration to see if the course fits with your schedule, and if it does and you are interested in it, use the GE course guide to get a little bit more information about it. We would hate for you to fall in love with the course on the GE course guide and then realize it doesn't fit with your assigned theater courses. Okay. And here's some advising information. So information about our office here, our direct emails. We do require mandatory advisement every semester. Advisement begins in late October, and we will announce it via email, and you can actually schedule the appointment online on my USC. But if you'd like to come in before then, you're more than welcome to sign up for a walk-in advisement or day of advisement. We will have walk-in advisements available every day. Okay. And that is it for now. So that concludes Act 3. So I'd like to, looks like we just lost our other 2 students, but I'd like to open the floor to Aiden and Brittany to see if you 2 have any other questions. We got some of that.
To clarify, the only thing we have to do between now and like being able to register for our classes is schedule that individual appointment with whoever our advisor is.
Yes. So your advisor will reach out. Daniel will reach out to you and schedule a individual time to discuss any questions that you might have. But after this, we'll actually email you your advisement sheet with that information. Your advisement sheet, which lists all of your courses that you'll be registering for, will probably include a copy of the PowerPoint for you to reference. And you can start actually building your schedule and web registration. And then if you have any other questions, your advisor should be able to help you.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes. Any other questions?
Sorry, I'm not on the screen because my camera's not working, but I'm here still. Well, go ahead. Who's got another question?
Brittany?
Yes. Me. Oh yeah. For some reason, the PowerPoint it kind of like froze on me. So like things that like I couldn't read or whatever. But you mentioned during registration, like an alum made a website or whatever to see if you could easily check if a certain course fit your schedule or anything like that. What?
Yes, it's called the USC Schedule Helper. In my email to you, I'll give you the PDF copy of the PowerPoint with all the links,
Gotcha.
so that you can reference that and open the links. We'll also attach the link to the video if you want to rewatch a video real time. But if you just want to reference a PowerPoint, we'll send that to you all.
Gotcha. And then I guess I was a bit concerned on like the schedule was structured. It said general core literacy or foreign language. So if I choose to take a foreign language, do we have to fulfill both like a core literacy and a foreign language interchangeable thing?
Perfect. Yes. So depending on your situation, some students have actually brought in an AP exam that fulfills the foreign language. So if so, at that point, then they can do a GE core literacy. If you haven't fulfilled the foreign language yet, we would recommend that you address that this semester. So for students starting at level 1 with a brand new language, you can actually request declearance for that to kind of fit around your schedule. If you're planning to continue with a language that you've taken in high school or have any formal training, you have to take the placement exam on August 16th or 17th before you can register. So once you take the exam, they'll tell you what the appropriate level is, and then at that point you can register. Now, if you're planning to take the foreign language exam and you're in that scenario, we would recommend just register for a GE placeholder now, because you would be registering on the 15th, I believe. And then you can come here and take the placement exam on the 16th or 17th.
If you choose to take a foreign language, I wouldn't have to take a core literacy.
Yes, exactly. We want you to address the foreign language now, and then we'll push off the core literacy courses until your foreign language requirement is completed.
Oh, literacy.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, so that could be like pushed back to my later years of caucus on
correct.
Language first.
Yeah. So the GEs, again, we're not taking all of the GEs in the first semester or even the first year. Those will be spread out over the 4 years that you're here.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions from?
I have a question. Sorry, I can't. My internet's too bad to use the camera.
No problem. We can hear you. Okay.
Great. So to build our schedule before registration, do we do that through Oasis?
It would be through web registration. Yeah. So it's
okay.
My USC web registration.
So that is locked for me until that date. So
no, well, actually, if you click through that, it just says you can't register until that date. So you can actually use web registration, start building your courses. You just won't be able to register until that date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just click through that screen.
Awesome.
Okay. That kind of answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, any other questions from our group here?
Sorry, I had one more.
Yes.
How do I decline that health insurance again for the
You won't be able to do that until registration starts, but there's a tab on web registration called tuition refund insurance, and that's how you would opt out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Cool. Dan, why don't we stop recording?
I will stop broadcasting right now.